Welcome back. Germany clinches a win in the last minute to keep their World Cup hopes alive. Jose Daniel Lopez wraps up all of the day's highlights.
Thank you, Kijan, and welcome to our Telesur Russia 2018 special World Cup coverage. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez, and here are today's headlines. We start with the results from today's matches. Mexico beat South Korea 2-1 in the city of Rostov-on-Don. Carlos Vela scored a penalty goal in the first half, and Javier Hernandez scored a winning goal for Mexico. Mexican fans celebrated their home team victory.
It was really good. I mean, Mexico played the way they have to play, and Korea was a great team as well. They did what they had, but you know, Mexico was better, and we're gonna win the cup.
It was a good game. It was kind of tight. I feel confident that Mexico was going to win 2-0, and we almost did it. But 2-1 is still fine.
Germany defeated Sweden 2-1 in the city of Sochi. Ola Toivonen scored in the first half for Sweden. Marco Reus scored in the second half, and Toni Kroos scored at the last-minute goal to seal the victory for Germany. The arrival of the World Cup has encouraged the development of football in the Russian university educational system.
Belorovsky Siemen is a member of the Kuban's State University football team. According to the 24-year-old, external attempts to stop the World Cup from taking place were frustrated. There were almost 1 million visitors in Russia to support their national teams.
A lot of countries try to affect football in their political arenas. They try to boycott the tournament. I think it's nonsense because football is a peace and friendship game.
Young people like Belorovsky train to compete in university tournaments with the incentive to someday be signed by Russian clubs like Krasnodar, Spartak or Zenit.
We have one of the main student football leagues, and now it's a big achievement to have the World Cup being held in our country. During the World Cup, a lot of children start to practice football, and they begin to see the sport differently.
Belorovsky shares the dream with the rest of the Russian fans who want to see their national team go far in the tournament. However, he realizes his expectations are ambitious.
Our team sadly had to live some traumas. We have to work harder with footballers, especially with defenders. It's a big problem, but I think we will organize. We have experience. We have a lot of young and talented players who are already in the eyes of big clubs in the world.
The celebration of the World Cup serves as motivation to practice this sport and to train footballers like Belorovsky, whose passion is the enjoyment of the cheers after every goal.
Now in Group G, Belgium beat Tunisia 5-2 in Moscow. Eden Hazard and Romelu Lukaku scored twice, and Batshuayi scored in the second half for Belgium. And after today's win, Romelu Lukaku and Cristiano Ronaldo shared the top goal scorer position with 4 goals each, followed by Diego Costa from Spain with 3 goals. Art and football come together at the St. Petersburg Art Museum, where an exhibition by the Italian artist Fabrizio Birimbelli entitled Like the Gods is featuring over 40 portraits of world football legends including Cristiano Ronaldo, Diego Maradona and Eric Cantona, all of them in historical uniforms.
I like the fact that you can see players as generals and leaders because during the matches, during the 90 minutes, you feel that they are really your representative, they are really your leader, and allow to show all those ethics in my work. And I try to mix 2 of my great passion, art and football, together, and this is what came out.
Now let's take a look at the group wins. In Group F, Mexico moves to the top of the group with 6 points. Germany is in second position with 3 points. Sweden in third position with 3 points as well, and South Korea in fourth position with 0 points. Belgium gets to the top of Group G with 6 points, qualifying to the knockout stage. England is in second position with 3 points. Tunisia and Panama sit at the bottom with 0 points. Tomorrow, England will play against Panama. Colombia will try to obtain their first victory against Poland, and Japan will face Senegal. And that's all for today's Telesur Russia 2018 headlines. Don't miss our exclusive show, De la Mano del 10, the World Cup according to Maradona. Only on Telesur English. I'm Jose Daniel Lopez. Back to you, Kitchen.
Thanks a lot, Jose Daniel. Now let's go to some Latin American news. Guatemalan migrants are returning to their native country after being deported from the United States. Tens of thousands of people from Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador, parts of Mexico, have crossed the U.S. border, sometimes illegally, since last year, requesting asylum. The issue of separating families at the border has raised widespread condemnation in the United States and Latin America. A senior Salvadorian government official said she will travel next Sunday to McAllen, Texas, to investigate the situation of children from her country being separated from their families. U.S. President Donald Trump has accused the Democrats in his country of spinning what he calls phony tales of suffering for electoral gain.
I have 8 children and I need to care for their well-being to move them forward. My goal was to give them an education so they don't similarly suffer. Here there isn't much of an economy. We are low on the economic scale, and that's why, that was my thought, that I don't want to see my children suffering from hunger.
In Uruguay, the National Plenary of the Broad Front has just approved the free trade agreement with Chile. Mateo Grille has more from Montevideo.
The National Plenary of the Frente Amplio Med has approved a fair trade agreement between both nations made by President Tabaré Vázquez and former Chilean President Michelle Bachelet. There are several lawmakers who are opposed to this agreement, saying it's a bad economy measure for the country. The other half of the plenary, confirmed by the right-wing parties of the country, said that the agreement will benefit both economies and it will build important international alliances.
Thank you, Mateo. And the education conflict in Uruguay is getting worse. Students and teachers are demanding that their budget demands be met.
The public education sector in Uruguay is still in conflict. Many schools have been taken by teachers and students who have declared a 48-hour strike. The state's education budget for the next 2 years is not enough and will not reach the 6% promised in electoral campaign.
For years, we have asked that 6% of the GDP goes to education, but we have had no answer. Currently, we have a 4.9% increase, and we've been told we are going to get 5.15%, but that really isn't enough. We need that 6%.
Last week, students decided to occupy dozens of schools to denounce the education conditions. Teachers are also calling for a higher education budget and also better infrastructure.
We are together in this fight, demanding what we have always demanded, a higher education budget. We see this as extremely necessary. This is something that is happening to all of us, students and children, to everyone that is in the public system.
Students say that the state budget for education is insufficient and that the problem for the government is not a lack of money, but their priorities.
What we have seen is that the money is there, but maybe they have other priorities. They're not investing in a decent education for all. The money is there, but not where it should be.
In the coming days, these measures will be evaluated, but it is very unlikely that the problem will be solved quickly, since the government has already said that it has no more money.
As a bill for the law on gender identity moves forward in Chile's parliament, one of the most controversial sections in the law continues to raise controversy. People are opposing children's right to legally change their name so it can represent their gender identity instead of the biological sex determined by birth.
A kid's identity is being built as they grow, so if we allow them to change their gender identity at this age, we will be allowing them to make a decision they are not ready for yet.
The church can decide whatever it wants, but the Chilean state belongs to everyone. Gender identity is a personal matter, and the state does not have a say on that decision.
The bill has moved forward, including the paragraph that recognizes the rights of trans kids, to the astonishment of most conservative lawmakers.
We are thousands who believe that what is currently going on at Congress is terrible. We also represent parents who are against of the inclusion of minors in this bill.
I can't understand those who say that children cannot decide their name or identity. I think we should prevent them from getting any sort of surgery as minors. When they turn 18, they can decide if they want to fully transition.
Alejandra knows how it feels to grow up with an identity that's not yours. She grew up surrounded by trans women, and yet she had to deal with her male name, linked to her sex but not to her identity. Boys and girls should be listened to and respected, including how they choose to identify themselves, as it is the case of 4-year-old Selena, who has the support from her entire family.
Selena used to wake up at 2 or 3 in the morning to come to me and say, "Tomorrow I will be a girl, Mommy." That perseverance made me react. There was also the fact that she would say that maybe she should remain a man so all of these problems would go away.
This is the story of being a trans kid in Chile, of being invisible, being forced to be what they are not in order to be accepted in a society that only accepts men and women. For that reason, the Amaranta Gomez School wanted to open a new space that goes further than traditional education.
They should be aware that they are agents for change. They are activists, because being trans is breaking with the binary normativity and all the restrictions society puts on them. We as activists need to go to the streets and break all those rules.
Trans children need to grow up being listened to and respected, away from a society that wants to treat them as mentally ill. The Cave Hill campus of the University of the West Indies in Barbados is preparing for a new rush of students following the government's announcements that it would once again pay the full tuition cost for Barbadians. UWI Principal Professor Udine Barreto told a local station, Barbados Today, that there had been an exponential rise in interest from Barbadian students. She said that the university has had to extend the application deadline for this academic year by 2 months. Removal of fees was a major campaign promise for Prime Minister Mia Mottley.
In the last week, the numbers have started to go up. And we think it is a matter of the penetration and saturation of that information. And also what we have done since the announcement was extended the application period to August.
Trinidad and Tobago's Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley is assuring that his country, despite tough economic times, will not follow Barbados' footsteps and head to the International Monetary Fund.
I give this country the assurance that we will not be considering the IMF as a part of our solution to our problems. But that goes with a caveat. It means that to avoid the situation that Barbados is in, we as a country have to do certain things which may not be pleasant and popular. But as we do those things, those actions will ensure that we don't end up there.
Let's take another short break now. Join us again after this look at what our multimedia colleagues are reporting.
For you and this president. Wake up! Wake up! We're here! We're here! And we will wake you up every day! And we will wake you up every day! No justice! No sleep! No justice! No sleep! No justice! No sleep! No justice! seeking asylum in the United States, we apologize! Apologize!
Welcome back. Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed had to be taken to safety by his security team after a grenade attack at a rally in the capital, Addis Ababa. One person died and scores of others were injured in the attack. In an address broadcast afterwards on state television, Abiy said the incident was orchestrated by groups who wanted to undermine the rally, but he did not name them. Abiy had just wrapped up his speech when the explosion went off, sending droves of supporters toward the stage.
This is a day that Ethiopia has become proud.
And similarly, in Zimbabwe, the president survived an explosion believed to be an assassination attempt as he attended a rally ahead of elections. Emerson Mnangagwa had just finished giving a speech in a stadium in Zimbabwe's second largest city, Bulawayo, when the blast went off near him and other officials as they moved off stage. This video posted on social media shows the explosion, which knocked people to the ground and sent others scampering. It was unclear whether anyone was killed in the blast, but there were several reported injuries.
Yes, it exploded a few inches away from me, but it is not my time.
So they must remember.
Yes, they must. It's not my time. Those who have done it are likely to go before me.
And with that, it is our time to leave, that is. Thanks for watching. For these and many other stories, you can find them on our website at telesurtv.net/English. And join us on social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. For Telesur English, I'm Kijan Haynes. Thank you for watching.
In South America and the Caribbean, we face challenges, looking for ways of contributing to solutions to the nations. With a uniting feeling, though before the attack of those imposing themselves, we defend an ideal of an inspiring struggle. We are together, preserving our traditions, integrated, being one South.